Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. Hey guys, we're your hosts, M and J, and today we're looking at the penultimate episode of Netflix's She-Ra, and the first half of the two-part finale. Everything's been leading up to this point. Unfortunately, all the questions that we had go unanswered. It was disappointing to find out that the crew was actually given 52 episodes from the get-go, meaning they had ample opportunity to plan things out, but there are still major plot holes in the story, like the portals that brought Hordak and Adora to Etheria, despite Mara's efforts to keep Etheria from reaching the outside universe, and they didn't bother to answer questions that they themselves brought up, like Adora confronting that spirit of She-Ra thing. That scene doesn't actually have any resolution, so that's pretty frustrating. Instead, a large part of this episode is focusing on trying to get the princesses back that are under the control of the Horde, which is something they could have done by now. Instead, it feels more like they're dragging the drama out for as long as possible. Same thing goes for Catra. Basically, they have to clean up their mess from the last episode, where Shadow Weaver decided to make Adora's self-confidence issues about Catra for no reason. Perfuma had confused Adora, but Shadow Weaver put in Adora's head that it was Catra's fault, which ultimately got to Catra too, so she ran off, leaving Adora hurt and confused. So good job, Shadow Weaver. Now her self-confidence issues are worse. Let's just get into the episode. The episode begins with Adora struggling to transform into She-Ra again. Adora struggling to transform is kind of a big deal since this is episode 51 of 52. Is there really enough time to address this properly? This has been an issue on and off throughout the series, and we're still doing this so late into the series. I feel like things haven't progressed in a timely manner, the way that they needed to. We're spending screen time on this when we could have been focusing on other things. It's like Adora still doesn't know who she is, or who She-Ra is, because she doesn't. She does manage to transform, without saying for the honor of Grayskull, and goes to make a speech to the rebellion. She goes over a lot of things that they already know, like Horde Prime is going after the heart, and he has their friend still, and he basically has every advantage. But she also says that Entrapta's come up with a plan. Entrapta explains that she cracked Horde Prime's signal pattern, so all she needs to do is get access to his network, and she can take all the chips offline at once, because Entrapta's actually been doing things. So the plan is to have everyone distract Horde Prime's forces while Entrapta jams the signal, and She-Ra takes the failsafe to the heart. She finishes by saying they're going to end this today, so everyone cheers, except for Shadow Weaver, who seems to be busy sulking. Seeing this causes Adora to start to lose control of She-Ra, so she walks away from the group and then de-transforms outside. Bo and Glimmer follow her outside and ask if there's any sign of Catra, but Adora says she's not coming back. Well, I don't miss her, she was mean. Adora says going to the heart of Etheria could be dangerous, and she's not sure they should come, but they insist they're not going to let her go alone and they hug. So she transforms into She-Ra, this time saying for the honor of Grayskull. So the three of them go to find the heart of Etheria together. Everything is offline after what happened in the season 4 finale, so there's a different hologram there this time, and it tells them that Lighthope is offline, which I think was a mistake for the story. She had a lot of explaining to do, but I guess it's more dramatic if she dies. They say that they're friends of Mara, so it opens up a passage for them to follow, so the three of them hold hands and walk into it together, which is a nice sense of unity going into the final battle. It then cuts to Catra, who's fleeing on the back of Milog, but then Milog stops and throws her off, and tells her she should go back to the others. But if Milog was going to do that, why not just stop her from leaving to begin with, instead of confronting her now? But that's what happens. Catra insists that she's not going to go back, because Adora chose Shadow Weaver over her, which is not at all what happened, but she insists on making everything about herself. How did she choose Shadow Weaver over her? This was about stopping the heart of Etheria and saving the universe. It's not like Catra had any better ideas, or tried to help the situation at all. Instead, she made things worse by running off when Adora needed her for support. Adora was literally crying and begging her to stay, but instead she left her and is now insisting that she was the one that was wronged? Give me a break. And then Catra says that Adora doesn't want her the way she wants Adora. Well, maybe instead of focusing on what she wants, she should focus on the fact that the world is about to be destroyed, and the only people standing in the way of that is Adora and the others. Otherwise, everybody, including Catra, will be dead. So maybe she shouldn't be so selfish right now. You can worry about all that stuff once the danger is past. And if she really wants to prove herself to Adora as a good partner, then she should be able to prove that she's there for her in a crisis, instead of leaving her crying on her knees. On top of that, she ended up playing into Shadow Weaver's hand. Shadow Weaver wanted to separate Adora and Catra, so instead of staying and defying Shadow Weaver's wishes, she leaves, hurting Adora in the process and giving Shadow Weaver her what she wanted. Not cool, Catra. But then a Horde clone comes by, disrupting Catra's pity party, so Milog turns them invisible, and they decide to follow him. The rebellion attacks Horde Prime's forces while Entrapta slips by. I do like seeing the characters use teamwork, and I also like that cast the spell is actually involved, and getting to fight alongside everyone. I wish we could have seen more of that in this series. Entrapta makes it inside and hooks up her equipment to the system. Meanwhile, the best friend squad is making their way to the heart. They promise to stay together no matter what, and when they return it'll be a whole new world. But Adora gets distracted when she hears what sounds like Catra laughing. So she runs to see what's up and finds Catra in a hallway. Adora, Catra ditched you and still blames you for everything. Don't go running after her. This scene is actually really sad, but not for the reasons the show is trying to make it out to be. It turns out this isn't the real Catra. It's just the Crystal Castle digging into Adora's memories for some reason, and she almost follows the fake Catra off a ledge. Why is the Crystal Castle trying to kill her? This is all Shadow Weaver's fault for putting that idea in Adora's head, and Catra's fault for gaslighting Adora. Bo and Glimmer didn't see what happened, so they just tell Adora she's going the wrong way. So she tells them this place can still project memories, and that they can't be distracted by it, and then she shoves past them, which is kind of rude. She's the one who got distracted. Meanwhile, Catra is tailing the Horde clone, and comes across one of their bases, where they're trying to drill down into the heart of Etheria. She seems kind of shocked by all of this, but she should have known this was going on. The clone gets taken over by Horde Prime, and he looks back, but Catra's being cloaked by Milog's magic, so he continues on. He gives a speech to the clones, saying that they're going to start the acquisition process, and at this point there's nothing She-Ra can really do. The clones start chanting and then activate the drill, so this isn't looking good. Catra seems to have finally gotten it, and decides that she has to warn Adora, even though Adora already knows about this. But at least she's finally focusing on the real problem here. Meanwhile, Adora is still panicking, and she's having trouble hanging on to her She-Ra form, and the castle projects her finding the Sword of Protection in the woods. Bo and Glimmer ask what's going on, so She-Ra explains that the castle is basically messing with her. She thought that by breaking the sword, she would be able to create her own destiny, but now she's accepting the fact that that's not the case, although that's probably just the panic talking. She says that she's confused, scared, and distracted, so she wants to continue alone to try to clear her head. So she says that she loves them before teleporting away, leaving them behind. And now Bo and Glimmer are left alone crying. Didn't they already have 2 discussions this episode about how they weren't gonna let her go alone, and now she's still going alone? She says she loves them, but then she doesn't take into consideration their words or actions, just ditching them despite all of their efforts. Plus it's the second to last episode, and Adora is still having issues of charging in on her own, and having trouble controlling She-Ra. None of this would have happened if the characters would act a little more logical. Perfuma put way too much pressure on Adora, then Shadow Weaver put that silly thought in her head insisting that this was Catra's fault even though she had nothing to do with anything. And then Catra took Shadow Weaver's words to heart even though again she had nothing to do with anything. And now Adora actually is confused and distracted to the point where she's making a terrible mistake. Seems to be a pattern for this show, like when Frosta let known terrorists into her prom, and then they planted bombs around the castle and she was shocked, despite the fact that she knew that they were known terrorists. Or in season 3 when they ran off into the Crimson Waste, even though they had no plan and had no way to call for help. And then Adora ended up getting captured. The characters end up causing their own problems because they aren't thinking logically, and they don't seem to learn their lessons. That's pretty frustrating, just saying. Catra rushes back to the hideout calling for Adora, but only Shadow Weaver is there. I guess she didn't bother helping. She tells Catra Adora isn't there, so Catra demands to know where she went. Obviously to the heart. I don't know where else she would go. That was the plan. Shadow Weaver explains this and then tells Catra she shouldn't try to stop her, only for Catra to grab her and start yelling right in her face, which very well may be the only way to get through to her. Catra tells Shadow Weaver that Horde Prime is infecting the planet and going after the heart. It then cuts to Horde Prime looking over the progress of their taking over the planet. They've gotten past all the security protocols, so he's basically hacked into the planet. He sees what Entrapta is doing, so he teleports her to him, but she is able to push the computer out of the way, which means there's still an access point. Horde Prime welcomes her to the end of the world, and I think that's Hordak next to her. Well, that's convenient. He sends in more clones to attack the rebellion, but he also sends Mermista and Scorpia, which would be very dramatic if I wasn't still annoyed that they had chances to rescue both of them and just didn't take them. Horde Prime sends a message to Etheria saying that they had the chance for peace but they rejected it, and then reveals he's captured Entrapta. He says their resistance has failed and that She-Ra's abandoned them. Apparently he's just bluffing about that last part, he wouldn't know. Now he says all that's left for them is eternal darkness. Catra demands that Shadow Weaver bring the two of them to Adora, but she insists that Adora is too far away. So Catra says she knows that Shadow Weaver is more powerful than she's letting on, since she was able to escape from the Fright Zone by stabbing her in the back. She demands that she help her save Adora before it's too late. Catra doesn't care about the world, she already destroyed it once. So she pulls out some of that magic dust from her pocket, and ends up teleporting them to Bow and Glimmer, who are trying to run from the planet being hacked. Shadow Weaver looks really weak after teleporting, but Catra runs right up to Glimmer and demands to know where Adora is. But Glimmer tells her that Adora left them, and she's going to the heart on her own. So Catra starts saying that of course she'd do that, that's what she always does. Catra, could you please let it go? It's old. You've gotta stop being so obsessed. Bow asks what's going on, so Catra fills them in, and tells them that Horde Prime has entrapped her, which means the other princesses are still chipped. So he says they should go back up there and help everyone, but Glimmer doesn't want to leave Adora. So Catra says that she'll stay and go after Adora because, of course, she's obsessed. She says she can't lose Adora again, but she literally just walked away from her at the end of the last episode, and was continuing to do so at the beginning of this episode. She knew Adora was gonna go after the heart, and Catra was so against it that she ditched her until she saw Horde Prime messing with the planet. But again, she already knew he was gonna do that. She said that she promised Adora a long time ago that she would look out for her, and it's time to make good on that promise. I think we're kind of past that, Catra, but better late than never, I guess. So they hug, with Glimmer telling Catra to take care of Adora, and Bow saying that they're the best friend squad. Bow tells Glimmer to go help the princesses while he handles the signal, although I think they probably should have gone with Catra and Shadow Weaver, considering the fact that they also promised to protect Adora and be with her, but I guess the princesses need help too, so it's fine. Then Glimmer hugs Bow, saying she loves him, and Bow says he loves her back, kissing her on the forehead. So this ship has officially sailed. Good for them. Moving on. Shira finds herself on a ledge overlooking a very nice sunset, and then Mara shows up next to her. She tells her that she's going to save Etheria, and Mara's sacrifice won't be in vain. But then Mara basically tells her that it's not worth it, that the reason she sacrificed herself was so that Adora wouldn't have to. I'm not entirely sure what Mara is getting at here though. She asks Adora why she's doing this, and obviously Adora says that by doing this her friends will be safe, you know, since it'll stop the universe from blowing up. So Mara asks her what she wants when this is all over, to have a world to go back to? She can worry about what she wants after the threat has passed. How are they all supposed to have a happily ever after if the world gets blown up? But Mara tells her that she's worth more than what she can give to other people, and that she deserves love too. No one said that she didn't deserve love though. Plus she's the only one who can save the universe, at least without dying. But they're basically acting like she's not going to come back from this, and she's just throwing her life away. I mean, what's she suggesting exactly? To run off into the sunset with Catra and her friends, while Horde Prime holds all the cards? Maybe if Mara had some alternative, that would be less risky, but that's not what she's saying. Besides, Shira has a responsibility to the planet. This power originally came from the planet, and then the first ones tried to take it to use for their own purposes, so it does make sense to have a first one set things right, by freeing the magic and returning it to its proper source. This just seems like a really weird thing for Mara to say. And then Horde Prime shows up. Apparently he's hacked the planet. The Princess Alliance is being overwhelmed by Horde Prime's forces, so they consider retreating, but they're surrounded. But Glimmer comes to the rescue. They're happy to see her, but they're attacked by Mermista. But Glimmer is able to put up a shield around everyone, and then she and Casta are able to work together to throw the water back at Mermista and the clones. I really like seeing them work together. That was cool. Seahawk starts talking to Mermista, saying that Horde Prime thinks he can control her, but he knows better, and he tries to break out into a shanty about friendship. He actually gets himself beat up, but he also annoys her enough that she starts to come back. She asks why he's like this, and he says it's because he loves her, and also it's a good distraction, while Perfuma smacks the chip that's stuck to the back of her neck. Finally! You should have done that 2 episodes ago. See how easy that was? Kinda crazy that it was Perfuma who did it after all that talk about not attacking their friends. Better late than never? How many times have I said that? But Frosta realizes that Scorpia is missing. Bo and Milog make their way to Entrapta's computer, and they're relieved to see that it's still set up and operational, only for them to be attacked by Scorpia. Meanwhile, Glimmer decides to leave the group to go help Bo, only to realize that everyone's been overtaken by magic. She manages to teleport away just in time, and Micah dramatically reveals himself. This would all be very dramatic if I wasn't still hung up about how they had the chance to free them and just didn't. I get that they wanted the drama in these final episodes, but it's annoying that they had opportunities to free them and they weren't able to take it just because the writers needed the drama, not for any realistic in-universe reason. Back with Adora, the Mara hologram is frozen, and Horde Prime takes a moment to look at her, saying that he must have fought her and known her face, but he has no memory of her. But he says he's fought so many like her, and all of them have had their faces erased to oblivion, just like Adora will be. It's a fine villain speech, I'm just too apathetic at this point to care. She gets attacked by the Crystal Castle's security system, and it ends up knocking her out of She-Ra's form. So Horde Prime gloats that this security system can even take out someone as strong as She-Ra. Seriously? They've been dealing with the security system the whole series. It can take out She-Ra? That makes She-Ra look really weak. She's supposed to be strong enough to stand up to the heart of Etheria, but a shoddy ancient security system can take her out? Horde Prime gloats that Adora will never make it to the heart, and then says goodbye as she's attacked by some Cthulhu wannabe monster. And that's how the episode ends. As far as setting up the finale goes, things are a little different than we expected. We figured that Adora, Glimmer, and Bow would face off against Horde Prime at the heart of Etheria together, considering the fact that Glimmer has a score to settle with Horde Prime, and the three of them have been together since the beginning of the series. But instead, Catra is the one going after Adora, while Bow and Glimmer go off in their own directions. At least seeing Glimmer face off against her dad will be dramatic. I think it would have been nice to see more of Horde Prime's history with the first ones. That could have made that scene with him and Mara more impactful. There's still so much we don't know about the first ones, and Horde Prime could have been a key to understanding them better, especially since they're such a major part of the show's lore. Some of the only lore we even get. Oh well, at least there's only one episode left. Sorry it's taken us so long to get through these. It's been a really weird year, which I understand is an understatement, but still. Thanks for sticking with us though, and thanks for watching. Before we leave, we'd like to give a shout out to our members: Caleb Nelson, Stutania, Tyrant Carnivore, Adam K, Shiny Orc Boy, Taylor Ramirez, The Rabbit Mancer, Dash Hound, Haley Kosheva, Ray Thulu, Hunter Rose, General Bolivar, Depth Charge Media, and Samaru163. Thank you for the support, and thank you all for watching. We really appreciate it. If you'd like to see more content from us, you can hit the subscribe button and leave a like on the video, and hit the join button if you'd like to become a member, or you can buy us a coffee to support us that way. Link will be in the description. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you all in the next video. Bye everyone. Bye guys.